Hey lovelies, the following video does include spoilers, so make sure to read the title of this video. If you haven't read those chapters, please press pause, read up, and I will be waiting for you when you get back. Fishy has a soft side? Oh, I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. Hey everybody, welcome back to Lore Book Club. I'm Cassidy, and this week's Quicksilver read, I finally like the book. So let's get into it. This week's read was genuinely so much better than the last 2 weeks. Thank goodness, because I was not liking Quicksilver, but I feel like we finally are getting to the good part of the book, and I hope you feel the same. Chapter 21 starts with the river being frozen. Newsflash, there's vampires. Okay, not my favorite kind of vampires. Because these are giving like zombie vampires, and that's not a bit of me. That's like spooky. But Malcolm, I bet he's hot. Let me see. What do we think? 10 out of 10 or no? He is a high vampire fae. A lot of titles. And he is definitely like baiting Kingfisher. Kingfisher doesn't necessarily take the bait, but obviously the black smoke comes out. He wipes everybody off the planet, drags them to their watery deaths. And Malcolm is like toying with him. And it's the first time that like I've really seen somebody like have Fisher around his finger, which I just thought was so good. Malcolm is a bit of me. Sorry. I love a vampire. I do. I really love a vampire. So I was just like eating that up. And I love the fact that there was a clear divide between fae, that when they all were cursed with these vampire tendencies, that some of them like totally embraced it because they wanted more power, and other ones were like, that's too much power, I don't want to eat blood. So then they had like an absolute divide. Interesting that Malcolm has his like princes that can't transition somebody without them becoming like a mindless vampire zombie. Not a fan of vampire zombies, I'm gonna be honest. But clearly Malcolm is extremely powerful, and I'm really excited to like learn more about him and get a little bit more of the lore. Okay, name drop. Also super interesting is that high fae vampires can't die. So that is crazy. I mean, they have to be able to die somehow, and we just don't know that yet. And it kind of made me think that maybe Madra is like a vampire. I know she's human, maybe that doesn't make sense, but she's been alive forever and she can't die, so maybe there's like some sort of connection there, or maybe I'm reading into that. In all that frustration, everything, the tension is burning, the conversation is happening, and then Spice O'Clock. Y'all. There is no reason for those two people to have sex. First off, was the spicy scene hot? Sure. I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't. However, for me, there was no reason for it to be happening. I think another kiss or like something could have happened like out of frustration, but like it was very forced is how I would describe my feeling toward that sex scene. It felt very, we should put a spice scene in the book, so we're gonna put a spice scene in the book now. And I was like, it was very lackluster. It fell flat. I didn't find her attractive. I didn't find him attractive. I didn't find anything about it attractive because it just felt like they were sleeping together to sleep together. And also the word awesome was used. And that really took me out of it because I don't think anyone should be describing a spicy scene as awesome. I don't know. It just feels like somebody's playing soccer. They had an awesome goal. Like it's just not a bit of me. There wasn't enough stakes for the spicy scene to happen when it did. You know, when they like describe it as like they couldn't breathe without the other person, Fisher and Saris are not there yet. So it just felt like a one night stand. Hot though. I'm not gonna lie. Like there was elements of it where I was like, okay, but it wasn't like Kingfisher, who dodged Saris for days on end about their little spicy romantic time, which I still hate that happened. He's finally like, are we gonna talk about it? And she's like, no. Which also worked. Like he ignored her, and Saris is like, walls are up, because why would they be down? He's given her literally no reason to like trust him at all. So I definitely am totally on Saris's side in the moment about how she is like not opening the floodgates. Fisher goes absolutely in on Saris about sharing food with Carry on the same plate. And again, I feel like that has to have something to do with like a mating thing, that like if you've like slept with somebody, you can't share food with them, because he's like, you can share food with anybody else, just not him. And I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, there has to be a reason for it. And like, we love that she's respected that boundary though. She never ate off the same plate as him again. Saris and Fisher are finally having some sort of conversation, even though it's heated. And they're talking, kind of yelling at each other, trying to figure this out. And she's begging for answers and he can't tell her. Saris assumes that he has some sort of like bond or attachment to Malcolm, and assumes that Fisher has been with Malcolm for the last century, which if he still can't talk about it, there has to be some sort of like, I don't know if it's something with the Quicksilver or if it's some sort of blood bond or whatever it is, but Kingfisher is on lockdown with Daddy Malcolm and he cannot get out of it. And a quote that I loved from Saris, "I hated him, I did. But you couldn't hate something without caring about it just a little too." I really liked that quote. I thought that was like kind of powerful, because like I know she hates him, right? And she like, it's all she talks about. She's like, I don't like him, he pisses me off, all this stuff. If somebody's taking up any space in your brain, even if you hate them, there does have to be the antithesis of like love there, or obsession or want. There has to be something there in order to like justify such a strong reaction, such as hate. So I really liked that she said that. And I felt like it just like brought a deeper quality to Saris's like experience in the bedroom with LaFish. And I was like Team Fisher there for a minute. And then he hit it and quit it and he pieced out in that Shadowgate. I would have lost my mind. I was like, Saris is a stronger woman than me, because I would have been throwing punches. How dare you? So that's what I mean. Like in that moment, I was like, I don't respect him as a man or as a character, because he just got up and left. Gives me the ick. Gives me the absolute ick in my stomach. The spicy scene was happening and I was like, okay, I get it. And then he left and I was like, no. I just feel like he used her for his own benefit, which I'm not a fan of. So Saris is rightfully pissed off, just like I would be. If a guy did that to me, I would be like, middle fingers to the air. Like I would just, no. Hard pass. Hard, unbelievable pass. Eventually Kingfisher comes back to bring her to the war front. And he's like, we need to get you plan B. It's been like 48 hours, but okay, King. But she laughs and she's like, oh, I can't have babies, I'm sterilized. Which kind of like threw me back. My hatred for Queen Madra deepens daily. Like that entire section about only 3 out of 10 girls are allowed to give birth to babies and the rest of them are sterilized at 14 was crazy. And his reaction was like, I mean, he was fuming. Of course she doesn't understand why he's fuming, because she would think he'd be happy. But that was kind of like the first glimpse into his maybe feelings towards her, because then he's like, well, we would never be able to have a family. That's crazy. I don't even think she's even on that same wavelength yet, because Kingfisher hides everything from her. So he definitely knows more than she knows, which is why I think that news affected him so deeply. She goes back up to the forge and is with my man, Carrion Swift. I love him so much. I'm so happy that he's in this entire book. Like he was gone for like 3 chapters and now he's like, he's with me and I love him. We learn he always believed that the Fae existed because his grandmother almost, it kind of low-key feels like she prepped him for this entire story of his life. And I just think that's so interesting and deepens his character. And grandma mentioned again. So clearly his grandmother, she's an engineer, she's a self-made woman, and I love her. I made fun of her a few episodes back. I'm not gonna lie, but I like the grandma. Grandma Swift. He also has that sensation in his hand with the Quicksilver, which makes me think that maybe he isn't like an alchemist, but maybe he does have some sort of control over the Quicksilver as well, which will be super interesting to see how that unfolds as we continue reading. Then Fisher shows up and says the most insane speech, which out of context is like, aw, but in context, just for me, comes so left field that there was no impact. I was just kind of like, why is he saying that? It's kind of like embarrassing. He said, because she is moonlight, the mist that shrouds the mountains, the bite of electricity in the air before a storm, the smoke that rolls across a battlefield before the killing starts. You have no idea what she is, what she could be. You should call her Majesty. Like, just so out of nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere for me. I was like, you literally hit it and quit it, didn't talk to her for 2 days, left her at a forge, and suddenly you're like, you should be calling her Majesty because she is the smoke on the banks. Like, if I was her, I'd be like, I'd get the ick. And he just has this like sudden connection to her, which to me makes no sense. There is no reason as a reader to justify him suddenly having this deep emotional connection with her. It just makes no sense to me. Did it make sense to you? Because for me, it just felt like left field. Saris also has a tattoo from after they had sex that came from his body onto her body. Is that a mating bond thing? Because that feels very intimate, and he also felt like very like kind of out of body experience while they were having their spicy time together. But the tattoo thing, I was like, they must be like bonded mates. There has to be something there. Now, of course, in the last video at the end of chapter 20, we read that Saris destroyed Danya's sword. Her behavior talking to Danya was crazy. It was simply unacceptable. She's destroyed a family Fae heirloom. Danya's rightfully pissed off, and Saris is like, just how she had the biggest attitude. I was reading it and I was like, Miss Girl. What about an I'm sorry? How about a oof, didn't mean to? And she was just like, hate you. Her attitude is crazy. And I was like, Saris, what have we been talking about? Learning how to speak to people. And once again, we're back in our old ways where she has absolutely no idea how to communicate like a normal human being. We also learn that they're part of a wolf pack, the Lupo Proelia, which vampires, wolves, fae, humans, alchemy, there's a lot of tropes. There's a lot of things going on. I was very happy that it just seems to be like a wolf pack and like that they don't turn into wolves, because that would have just been a lot. Of course, they all have their like wolf merch, which cool. And they are in a pack. But if somebody turns into a werewolf, I'm gonna be annoyed. That's just too much, I think. What are they, hybrids? Are they Klaus Michelson from the originals? Like, it's just a lot. But Saris's insane attitude matches Fisher's, and now I think they're soulmates and made to be together, because their behavior just is absolutely aligned with how they talk to people, how they behave, how they interact with the world. So maybe they're a match made in heaven. Who am I to judge? Super cool though to learn that Saris is in control of Quicksilver, because she thought that maybe she was in control of other metals. That's why so many metals were taken away, because Madra wanted to make sure that Quicksilver didn't fall into other people's hands, because all metals, or a lot of metals, were like coated in Quicksilver to make them be able to have magical abilities or make them stronger or more powerful. So the fate of the world, of course, falls onto a 100-pound tiny little human, or else everybody's gonna die in a year. Nothing to worry about, Saris. No stress, queen. You'll be fine. Lorith is one of my favorite characters. He arrived super late, but I genuinely love his character. His entire history is so interesting, that he was like a singer, and then he became this like warrior, and he was like dying because vampires tried to bleed him dry, and Kingfisher found him and gave him a part of his soul. Mad. Fisher must have had a gut feeling about him to give a stranger a part of his soul. So if Lorith dies, Kingfisher receives his soul back. If Kingfisher dies, Lorith can live out his entire life. But he also is the first person to say, if Kingfisher dies, he's going with him. So they're definitely like brothers. And this shows a softer, more vulnerable side of Kingfisher that I just want to see more of, and I'm really excited to like peek behind the curtain, if you will. Drinking blood is a sex thing, per usual, and super taboo. So that was so funny when Saris is just like drunk at the bar, like, what's like the biting thing? And Lorith was like, I need another drink. That's like nuts. She just like can't get it out of her head. She's like, that boy needs to bite me. Honestly, I get it. I need to stop being so hateful. I do get it. He's like dark and brooding, and she just wants to be bitten. Like, I get it. I really do get it. Saris's jealousy of Telena is the most bizarro thing. I guess if you like start falling for somebody and any other woman or any other man is mentioned, you are immediately going to be jealous. And Telena was earlier described as like this beautiful woman, and she was this healer, and she was gorgeous, and Kingfisher's always getting beat up, so he is clearly spending a lot of time with her. But Saris, I was like, baby girl, your jealousy showing. Take a breath, make him want you. But she didn't mention it, so at least that. She played it cool. She kept those like crazy thoughts in her head. So a win for Saris. So this chapter is where it all changed for me. I thought the date night in Ballard was so unbelievably cute. So I'm from Calgary, and it kind of reminded me of like the Calgary Stampede or like any local fair. Everybody was so happy and joyful, and people were having a good time, and like it felt like important to him and that he wanted to share it with her. And I just thought that was so special, and like without saying it 1,000% was a date. So their first date was so cute. And then we meet Wendy, and she is just this firecracker. I love her. She must be like 3,000 years old for her to like look old. She is just absolutely amazing. I liked her character. The fact that she could tell that Saris was from Silverin was mad to me. And the fact that Wendy felt Saris pass through the gate is so interesting. Saris must have power more than alchemy. There has to be something there. Because also, if she's a human and that's just the end of it, and Kingfisher and her, they get 80 years and then she dies and he's just like on to the next one, I wouldn't hold it past him, to be honest. But he does a whole 180. He's suddenly like best boyfriend award, taking her to his hometown, showing her people he loves, enjoying everything together, and like just having a really charming evening. It's just always whiplash with him. I never know what I'm gonna get. And I think it must be the Quicksilver that's like making him mean and then making him nice. I just don't like his flavor of mean. So I prefer the chapters where he's like softer. But she has like a seizure. Anarath Moore is being screamed out of her body. She comes to, everybody's looking at her. And clearly Anarath Moore is something bad. Kingfisher is like clearly implying it's something bad, but he won't tell her. And I hate when someone just like won't tell somebody something. He's like, I can't tell you anyway, which maybe has to do with the Malcolm bond, if there is one, or whatever lockdown he's on of his emotions. But so many things could be avoided if somebody was just like, oh, Anarath Moore means impending death. Instead, it's like, spooky spooky, wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? Also, Wendy's smelling Fisher on her, gag. Insane. We then see Adina of the Seven Towers, Lady of Kalish, and she is famous in this town. She's got her own statue. She would have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Balish. He cannot look at her. They go into his mom's apartment, cute, and separate beds. Everything is respectful.
The nightmare.
Something about a man waking up, having a nightmare. He's having a night terror, but he's awake. And Saris chooses to be a supportive, helpful, wonderful person and holds him for the whole night. This chapter changed everything. It made me believe it. It made me understand it. When she was talking about her mom and the fact that her ward has only been quarantined for 6 years, and it kind of feels like the mom triggered the reaction of all of that. I felt like Saris really opened up, and in turn, Fisher opened up as well. He also promises to never use the oath against her again. I am so scared that he is going to. And I really think he will, and it's going to like destroy any bit of foundation that they are building together. But that oath has been a topic for ages, and I just don't see it ending well. I think Saris is going to get her heart absolutely ripped open. He then says quietly, my mother was killed too, because Everlane said their mom died in childbirth. Kingfisher is saying that his mom was killed. I'm assuming Bellicon killed her when he realized she was never going to produce a male heir, which, once again, you, King Bellicon. I hate you. He sucks, and I'm so happy I haven't seen him again in this book so far. Morning spicy scene. That is what I'm talking about. This finally felt like there was a reason as to why they were sleeping together. It was also hot. It was so much better than the first spicy scene because that was just like animalistic. And this was like, there was connection and intimacy, and it felt like it meant something. The communicating in their minds, absolutely one of my favorite things. When two people can speak through their minds, they must be mates. There must be like a magical bond to create that. So this is just like so exciting to me because as soon as they can talk in their minds, they start to learn so much more about each other. And I love that she didn't realize that they were, but like he was like answering all the things that she was saying. So hot. I just wish that would have been the first spicy scene. I think it would have really solidified their relationship for me instead of like this back and forth that's been happening the entire time. He bites her. Crazy. Taboo, not allowed, and he is, as we learn, horrified that he did it. She's also covered in tattoos from him. She can choose to keep them or not. They're all very intricate. They seem beautiful, very I kind of want a hand tattoo. I feel like it would look cool on me. Anyway, and she can choose within a month to keep them. So he's like glamored them away. There was also a couple quotes that I did write down from said spicy scene. He said, I always know where you are. They have to be mates. And he's just not telling her. Maybe Anarath more translates to I'm Kingfisher's mate. And then another one was when he put her in the black silky pajamas. And he was like, when I imagine you, little Osha, you're very rarely wearing clothes. I mean, that would do it for me. We're back in the forge with Carrie and Swift. He is still being sassy and funny and amazing. I just think he's like such a great comic relief character, and I think it's really cool that there is like a history between them, but it's not an active one. So it's like he's a nuisance to her, but he isn't a nuisance to like anyone else except Kingfisher because he slept with her, which I get. Carrie and Swift, out of everyone, uses his brain because Saris refuses to think, and he's like, well, if you talk to that Quicksilver, why don't you talk to the Quicksilver in the wall? Of course it works. And the Quicksilver's like, give me a Grammy Award winning song. That made me laugh. They were like, we want a sick beat and we want to absolutely serve when you turn us into a sword. And I was like, I am Quicksilver. I also want to listen to good music and look good all the time. The Quicksilver also says they want to taste the blood of whoever wants to wield them to make sure that they have honorable blood. The Quicksilver being sentient is so intriguing to me. Saris is using her brain being like, okay, yes, but also if this works, give them back the god power that you once had. And the sword was like, you want what now? And she's like, no, this song is gonna be Beyonce level. You just wait. Saris is suddenly the best swordsmith in the history of Zilverin. She is sweating. She's in there working. She's hammering. She's like, this sword is going to be so good. It's going to be amazing. She asked Lorith for some help because she doesn't know how to whittle. That's fine. You know how to make a sword. You don't need to know how to do everything, Saris. I forgive you. They work together. Carrion sleeping in the corner. Fisher's suddenly in her mind again, which I was like, like that. There's something about mind talk. It gets my heart going. I think it's so amazing. And she's like, why don't you come inside? And he's like, I'll stay out here for a little bit longer. So he's just been watching her work. Oh, so good. I also really do love the fact he calls her Little Osha. I think it's like, I don't know, it's really growing on me. I think it's so sweet. Like, what a cute nickname. Even though it means like death to all or whatever. If somebody was like, it's time to rest, Little Osha, I'd be like, your wish is literally my command. I will do anything you ask. The sword is completed and the aurora lights are shining pink and green in the sky. Everybody is absolutely shook. This has not happened in 1,000 years. It just is 100% because of the sword. I felt like it was like the gods were showing that they were watching. And I thought it was so beautiful. And like, it just was like such a beautiful moment. And then Lorith is like, woo, that's a sharp sword. And I was like, and then he sings his song, which was so long. That man was like, you're gonna get 3 verses, 3 choruses, a bridge, a pre-chorus, and I'm gonna win a Grammy for it. The sword is like, yum, 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 yum. Loved the song, gave it a 10 out of 10, and accepts Lorith as its owner. When Danya finds out about this, she is going to lose the actual plot. The sword stays true to its word. He lifts the sword, angel's breath. Don't know what that is. The sword 100% has the power of the gods again. So cool. I thought that entire scene was so cool. I thought it was great that Saris was the one to like forge the steel and the Quicksilver, and that he made part of that sword and then just by accident, but he had honorable blood. And it does make me wonder if maybe Danya doesn't have honorable blood and maybe she wouldn't have been accepted. Guess we'll never know. Saris is absolutely wiped out. She is so unbelievably exhausted, and I get it. If I was working in a forge for like 15 hours, I also would need a nap. And this is the chapter that solidified Kingfisher for me. He carries her into the bathtub and he's like brushing her hair and taking care of her. And I love a moody, mean, grumpy man that has a soft side for his woman. And I just was like, yep, fishy it is. Unless he absolutely royally messes up, I am, can we believe it, Team Kingfisher. He says, a cute little quote, I was wrong. You are a good thief. She stole his heart. I love that. And Saris is like, what do you mean? Saris. The horde is at the bank. The vampires are back. Only 1,000 of them, which makes me feel curious because last time there was 100,000 of them. Malcolm's going to be up to no good. Kingfisher is going to send Saris away. She says, you promised you would never use the oath against me. Please don't do this. If you do it, it's done. Everything is done. I will never talk to you again. I will never respect you again. He says, you need to make a human promise to me that you'll stay beside me. I thought that was just such a charming moment. And I feel like it's building up to a really great trust that these two have, and hopefully they become like a power couple. She is then awarded Solace, Kingfisher's father's sword, which I don't know what she's gonna be able to do with it, but I like squealed. I'm so excited to see what comes next. And Ren finishes it off with an amazing quote. And if you should find soul sundered from flesh, order a drink for us at the first tavern you come across in the afterlife. We'll settle the tab when we get there. Shit is about to go absolutely down. I loved the chapters this week. I think we got too spicy too quick. It redeemed itself with the second spice, and Kingfisher and Saris are finally communicating with each other. Big round of applause for those two. It took them about 70% of the book, but they got there in the end. Now, our book boyfriend of the week goes to Kingfisher. I know, I never thought I would say it, but that bathtub scene. Yeah, it's fishy. Lorith was a close second. We'll see next week. Would I survive these chapters of Quicksilver, starting with chapter 21? Yes, I would survive because the vampires didn't reach me, but if they did, I would die. But they didn't, so yes. Chapter 22, yes, I would survive having spicy time with Fishy, although I might kill him for leaving. Sorry, fish. Chapter 23, yes, I would survive a day with my ex in the forge and receiving the most insane out of left field compliment from Kingfisher. I'd survive. Chapter 24, no, surprisingly not. I do not think I would survive the wrath of Danya. She would kill me. Chapter 25, yes, I would survive a night at the fair date night with Kingfisher. Chapter 26, yes, I would survive giving back tickles to Kingfisher all night and talking about my history because I love to yap. So that would be easy for me. Chapter 27, yes, I would survive morning spicy time with Kingfisher. Chapter 28, yes, I would again survive a day with my ex, and I would also be able to survive talking to some shards of metal. That would be fine for me. Chapter 29, yes, I would survive forging a sword, even though it would be horribly done, but I think I would want to die based on how physically tired she is. And chapter 30, yes, I would survive receiving the honor of Solace. So I had a good week this week. I'm very much surviving. I think next week I'm gonna have a lot of no's, but we'll see. Our power scale this week starts off with Renfis. He just has kind of stayed the same. He hasn't showed any excessive growth in his power, so he's just very stable. Next up, we have Kingfisher. Again, he hasn't showed us really any further extent to his power, apart from being a great fashionista and being able to put on and take off clothes as he wishes. Our runner-up this week is Saris, because she finally figured out how to manipulate the Quicksilver. So I am very proud of Miss Saris. And our most powerful of the week goes to Lorith, because he got the new sword and he has unlocked Angel Breath, so he's got god tier power. I love him. Our most likely to die next award does go to Carrion Swift. I'm heartbroken. I think he's gonna die, and I don't want him to. I really hope I'm wrong. I just think his time is running short with us, unless he unlocks something crazy and is super strong. But if those vampires get to him, he is toast. My predictions for next week is that the war with the vampires is going to start. We're going to have a lot more chats with Malcolm, and we're going to learn if Kingfisher is in fact bound to the will of Malcolm. I do think Everlane is going to come back alongside King Bellicon, and all hell's going to break loose. And I also think that Madra is going to have an alchemist, and a war between Avilia and Silverian is going to break out, and it's going to be absolutely nuts. But a positive prediction is I think that Saris is going to be able to put the Quicksilver into the 15,000 rings. So fingers crossed for her. I hope you enjoyed these chapters as much as I did. I definitely think the book is getting rolling, so I'm really excited to finish it and keep it going. And the new one is going to be coming out, I think, in November, so that is going to be so exciting to be able to read that as well with you guys. Let me know what you think about Kingfisher and Saris. What did you think about the spicy scenes? Did you also think it happened too quickly, or am I just crazy? I feel like this book can go in so many different directions at the moment, and I'm just really excited to keep reading and to figure out which way we're going to go. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait to continue reading with you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Lore Book Club, that I post funny little bookish videos every single day. Love you guys so much, and happy reading. Mwah! Bye!